let's go back to your high school days.
Okay.
You went to Notre Dame High School, and that was all boys?
All boys.
All boys, and it was like Catholic?
Catholic, yep.
Irish Catholic?
Irish Catholic. The area that I came from on the northwest side, Edison Park, was almost exclusively police and firemen. Now, my father worked for the railroad, but virtually everybody in our area was policemen or firemen. Had to be the safest neighborhood in the world. So, but it was an idyllic place to grow up. Went to Notre Dame High School, was a bad student and a bad athlete. So that's a very bad combination for any formula for success, but a great school.
But you made it through.
Barely. I made it through. I was 311th. My class rank was 311th out of 356. It couldn't have been worse academically. But I was involved in everything. I had 2 jobs. I went to all the sporting events. I was very active in social things at the school. Played a lot of intramurals, but just wasn't a good athlete or student. Average athlete, real bad student.
That was probably because you didn't put yourself to it.
Well, yeah, you know, I was very enamored by the social aspect of school, of being involved, participating, and, you know, even when I got out of high school and when I was in college, every intramural team I was the captain of. I was the coach of every team. I was the organizer. I was the coordinator. I just wasn't a good student. So it was not. Notre Dame High School was kind enough to retire a jersey for me that even though I never played, and they had a night for me a few weeks ago, and a few years ago they put me in the Hall of Fame, and they asked me to speak to their students, and the message was that you're probably looking at the patron saint of C students. I was a bad student. I was a bad athlete. So if you're not a great student or you're not a great athlete, you still have a chance.
So then college was where?
St. Mary's University in Minnesota, which was really a school that everybody who couldn't get into Notre Dame or Georgetown or Marquette would go. Great school, but was lucky to get in there. And really going to St. Mary's changed my life.
How'd you do there?
Not well. Not well. Probably not better than Notre Dame, but probably class ranked in the bottom half.
How did it change your life?
Because I met a teacher who, his name was Brother Raymond Long, and he was a speech teacher, public speaking teacher, and communications teacher, and he was brilliant. And he was that lightning bolt in my life that I needed. And he said to me, he sat me down, he said, I'm going to be honest with you, you don't have a lot of things going for you. You're not a great student, you're not a great athlete. I'm not sure if he said you're not particularly good looking, but he could have, but he would have been right. But he said, you've got a lot of other attributes. I was very comfortable speaking in front of people, where other people I would watch in class quake. I would get up in front of class and I wouldn't have any notes. I would, in my mind, I knew the 5 things I was going to say, and I could expound on them and articulate them. And for 4 years at St. Mary's I took vocabulary building, so he helped me weave the 2 of them together. And as the great Jimmy Buffett once said, a little bit of bullshit can go a long way. I knew I wanted to be in sports when I was 17. I grew up a White Sox fan. I worked for the Cubs for almost 25 years, but I grew up a White Sox fan. But I knew I wanted to get in this business at a very, very young age. So I didn't go through that career dilemma that most people did, and they go through when you graduate from college and then you leave school and then you get to that, okay, now what phase of your life? I knew what I wanted to do at a very early age, but it was difficult to do.
So you graduate college, you come back to Chicago?
Graduate college, barely.
You come back to Chicago, and what was your first job?
First job was a company called Avis Rent-A-Car, and I worked there for 3 years. But it was great because I would call on corporations and I would sell the advantages of having an agreement with Avis as opposed to Hertz or National or whatever it would be. But I also ran into a boss by the name of Bob Kiesling, Kiessling, who was really another lifetime mentor to me that taught me a lot of business protocols. And during the time that I was doing this, I wrote a letter to every team in the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and they were personal letters. It took me a year to write these letters, 140 some, but if I was writing a letter to the New York Jets, I'd put something in there about Joe Namath. If I was running a letter to the St. Louis Cardinals, I'd put something in there about Bob, whatever it would be. So they were personalized, and then I started to get all these responses back, and then fortunately I wound up in soccer when I was, I think, 24, 25 years old, and then I joined the Cubs in 1983.
So soccer was, where were you there?
I was director.
Out of state?
Pardon me?
Were you out of state?
No, I was here with Chicago, the Chicago Sting.
Okay.
At the time, and it was great. It was a great training ground, and then that led to the Chicago Cubs. And
well, you didn't start out at the top of Chicago Cubs.
no, I did not. No, I had 8 different titles while I was there.
In 24 years?
In 24 years, yeah.
How long did you hold the top title?
I was president of the Cubs for about 13 months before I was offered the position to come to the Blackhawks as president. I really had never thought about leaving the Cubs. I didn't see that as even I didn't see that ever happening. I thought I would retire there. I thought I would retire as president of the Cubs. I was 53 when I was named president of the Cubs, and I loved it. And we won the division the first year I was there, and I was offered the opportunity with the Blackhawks to be president, and it's been an interesting, it's been a challenge.